By Gavanna Melanin, Ignathaline, Kimberal Eventide. So I'm actually making a podcast YouTube style, and I want to take you on a journey. I'm going to let you walk inside of my mind to show you exactly what I am thinking and the vision I have for humanity and how I am perceiving things in regards to the elves and how humanity can use that as inspiration in order to evolve themselves. Now, we all know that there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, and the idea that humanity can take one course of action in the future and can become cyborgs and can have a very dystopian society. But I am an eternal optimist as a mystic, so my vision of the future is of the highest potential for humanity. So I would like to take you on a journey, literally through walking through my mind and showing you how I visualize what our future could look like if we do start to rise our consciousness on Earth. And it's a mass critical awareness that happens, and people decide to start walking the Elven path. So close your eyes and just imagine. I want you to walk around in your mind. And as you are imagining this new earth that you live on, I want you to see it as a beautiful and colorful and vibrant place, so healthy and full of life. Because the wise counsel that has arisen in place of the governments in the world have taken over and have destroyed any of the corporations and have dismantled any of the greedy corporations that have only gain in mind for themselves monetarily, and they're not thinking about the earth. So dismantling those corporations have allowed for the trees to be replenished, for us to use free energy and get rid of fossil fuels. And in order to start green projects that would give people many jobs, developing the gardens and developing greenery all over the cities, and with enough food to reach out to those that are hungry and that do not have the money to go to a store and purchase something. They are able to live off of the gardens around them. And the White Council has brought that in. The White Council is a group of very old, wise souls that have come into being in the earth, and they have said that they are from somewhere else, and they are also connected to the human race, and they are here to help to guide humanity. And they have been chosen by humans that have started to see that they had leadership skills. And the more that they have risen in popularity and in power, they started to really take over in the form of government. But it's not a government as if we have today. This is really truly a wise council that is just a place where the 10 wise elders can meet, and it is an open forum where they discuss issues about the world, and people are welcome to come into this building, this beautiful building, and to meet and have discussions one-on-one with these elders. And in talking to them, a lot of problems are resolved with the individual soul that meets with them. This is completely basically what the council's job is to provide advice and counseling, and in order to help the younger souls and to move a civilization forward. No longer is it necessary to have an army or a war military corporation, because Human consciousness has risen to the point where they have their differences, they have their diversity, but they are able to understand and see the unity within each other. So there's no really need to have any more wars. So this is something that becomes obsolete in the future. And the Council of the Elders that are in charge of these America, let's just go with America right now. I'm not going to talk about the entire world at this point, but at least America, where I am living right now, this is my vision for it. So individuals can come to these elders and can talk to them about their problems, and they are counselors as well as leaders of a country. And like I said, there is no more need for military corporations to be involved because the human consciousness has risen to a point where they're in unity consciousness, and it's a mass critical awakening. So there is no more need for wars and for the military defense to be built within every single nation. So each nation around the world has dismantled their military structure base and now solely are focusing on the economy and the education and the health of their people. These are the areas in which they are really focused on. No longer is it about war and about corporation greed. It is about educating the masses to reach a higher level of understanding and awareness of the universe and the cosmos around them. And they use both the old books and as well as new books. In the schools, different subjects are taught that are not taught right now. Ideas of intelligent design and quantum physics and metaphysics are introduced at a younger age in order to help the individual soul reach a mind-body connection so that they do not suffer through their young adult life and throughout the rest of their life with having unawareness and unconscious states and causing their own suffering and their pain without even knowing it. So that is the education factor, and they are now starting to put forth the effort into educating the masses on the universe and the cosmos, and things have been opening up to them because outside information from Earth has been coming in, and there is more knowledge that has been gathered in order to go around and to understand the way that the universe works and the other homes and the other planetary systems that are out and around. So humanity is starting to increase their knowledge of information of both ancient esoteric wisdom and new wisdom that is given to them. And the new studies and the new topics and the new subjects that are really branches of the old are coming now in, but in a higher state of consciousness and awareness that humans can actually understand. So education becomes not a chore or an obligation, but actually is something that every soul is actually excited to earn and gain. And so children are excited to go to school every day because they know that they're going to expand their minds and they know they're going to expand their consciousness. And adult souls are very happy as well to continue their education. It's not just about a degree of getting a piece of paper and being able to get a job. It is about expanding the soul and reaching a point of having full knowledge and really obtaining the information that they need in order to reach that soul completion process, which every soul is looking for, so that they don't have to come back into the physical world and relearn, but that they can gather the wisdom and the information that they need in order to transcend the material world and into the spiritual world. And when they die, they can choose to rest in bliss. So we have adults and we have children's souls so excited about school. This is where the student has a relationship with the teacher, a one-on-one relationship with the teacher, and They are learning about things that has never really been taught before in a school setting, but it's exciting and it is expanding the mind and opening up the knowledge and the wisdom of the child. And what has happened is in education, there has been a decrease, major decrease in behavioral problems. Kids are kids, and of course, they're going to be a little mischievous and test their boundaries. But there isn't this behavioral issue of disrespect towards the teachers and disrespect towards their parents. And they're not seeing school as an obligation anymore, so they want to be at school. So they're not acting out. So that is the different setting of education that provides society a new foundation for learning and growth. The other new focus of this wise counsel and of the world now is putting in the attention towards the economy and really basing the economy on goods and services that individuals are able to make because they have each divine gifts and abilities. And so there is a trade and a barter type of system happening where people are exchanging their goods and services, and they do it in a way that's very respectful, very honest, and it's worthy of each other's value. So it creates this really balanced economy that is just it's very respectful towards one another, understanding each other's worth, and recognizing the abilities and talents within each individual soul. And the economy is also based on new ideas of energy and new ideas of building architecture and architectural structures that are going to coexist with nature around them and is going to utilize the natural resources on Earth that are not going to have to rely on the fossil fuels that are destroying the ozone layer and are hard to get after a while, and they start dwindling. Now society has shifted their focus on the resources that are always there, at least for a thriving planet, such as air, water, and light. So the energy now is being used in a free way. There are no more corporations of electrical companies. Energy is being harnessed, and so buildings are being powered by the sun, by water, and by air. And this does not come at a cost. What comes at a cost is really the construction and the architectural corporations. But they have the best intentions in mind for nature. They are respectful of it, and they do not bulldoze the land in order to build. They find unique and creative ways in order to design around, creating really beautiful, ornate buildings that are reflective of the expansion of consciousness in the humans. So they live amongst nature, and nature is actually thriving better because of it, because you're not taking away one block of the city in order to build buildings upon it that destroys the organisms below the earth that are connected to the other trees and the other grass and the other plants. It is one big organism that is not disturbed, it's not touched. So the roots grow deeper into the earth, and they are more fertile and vital, and they can actually do the exchange of oxygen in a more efficient way. So they're able to actually give cleaner and fresher air to humans as humans are learning to protect and respect them as well. So plant life is actually seen as sentient and aware, and that is because the education is growing in humans to understand that everything is sentient and aware, and plant life is part of that and is a living, breathing organism that needs to be untouched and at least replenished if ever we take from it. So that is the focus in the economy, new economy that way. And our new focus is on medicine and making sure that all the cells are healthy. And the way that they are doing that is by really realizing the mind-body connection, and that disease means a dis-ease in the body in certain chakra areas, in certain energy areas within the body. So not only is it fixed with certain chemicals or plant-based type of medicines that are going to help to alleviate suffering and pain in the body, but it also involves emotional work and working through different experiences and events in the life in order to help to remove that dis-ease from the body. So I do see that medicine will take on this combination of both spiritual, immaterial type of knowledge and wisdom mixed with the physical, chemical knowledge of science. And I do believe that those two together will actually cure a lot of diseases that people think are uncurable at this time. So there is a new focus on health and medicine, and because education and awareness about the cosmos and the universe has expanding, there's been new information that has been coming into the earth in order to help make sure that the human body lives longer, at least for as long as it was intended to before it got a disease. Now, one of the things that has happened is there is really no chemicals on Earth anymore that were created by greedy corporations in charge, because those have been dismantled. So because there are no more chemicals or toxins, then a lot of the human bodies are actually becoming just naturally more healthier. And the next generation and each generation that is born is healthier and is more vibrant and vital, because there is no toxins that's going to be carried through into their blueprint, because their parents have been healthy as well. So every generation gets healthier and healthier as the consciousness expands, and as new ideas and techniques of how to really help to balance the mind, body, soul connection, and to help with the diseases and the illnesses that we have in this world are actually going to be discovered that they can be cured through other methods and new therapeutic ways that involve actually dealing with the emotional subtle body as well as the physical body. And this is how the elves do their healing. They heal not only the physical body but also the emotional body. And of course, we're going to learn more about nature, and because we'll have more vital and fertile grounds for nature, there's going to be new types of flora and fauna that are going to be popping up all over the earth. So there's going to be new plants that actually are going to contain the antidotes and medicines that are needed in order to cure the illnesses and the diseases of the human body that they get. But it is very strongly related to the toxins in the environment that we have and how that affects the human body. So the less toxins and organisms that are parasitic on the human body, then that is when a human body will be more healthier. And so there's new information that is being gathered about the medicine and the way that they can apply it to the human body. And a lot of this comes from the earth. It comes from natural sources instead of chemically made ones. It is coming from the different plant life that is popping up all over the earth. And that is a little bit of a sign from the divine, showing that if a species is moving towards trying to better themselves and to improve their situations, then they are going to always be supported and helped. The other focus that is happening now is the idea of also new types of governance and system of law. That now it is not about punishment and the judicial system. It is more about educating and making sure that there's rehabilitation and therapy for those that are acting deviant against society and are lowering their consciousness levels and are forgetting their higher states. Now, their therapy is actually going to incorporate chakra work and other types of higher dimensional therapeutic systems in order to relax them, to help them to get in touch with their divine self, so that they don't forget who they truly are and act out unconsciously towards others. And humanity is becoming far more, as they are advancing in their mind, they are becoming far more peaceful towards one another. So nations are understanding each other better. There is a peaceful dialogue between leaders. They have gotten rid of the leaders that are going to be seen as nationalists. The people do not want those types of leaders in charge anymore. They are past that idea of nationalism. And now all the leaders that they do have to somehow be part of the wise council of elders and at least be on the same page with them and have the same goal and mission that is trying to provide peace for the earth and is not about their particular nation. I mean, you can have your pride in your nation and you could be happy about your cultures, but you have to go beyond the perception of ego of your nation and of your cultures and your traditions. And you have to always think about how you can see the perspectives from other nations and other cultures and other traditions. So that's what's going on now. Now we have leaders that are actually able to do that in other countries, not just America. So nations are talking peacefully with one another, and they are establishing these types of peaceful relationships that help them to focus on education and growth and new economies and new green projects that are going to really beautify nature and get people to coexist harmoniously with nature, because their priorities have shifted. They're no longer concerned about war and control over land and control over governments and just demonstrate their power militarily. They are not concerned about that. That's no longer a priority. Now the priority is to advance the human species and to do it through the education system and to do it in a way that is going to provide peace for all of the individuals and the souls. So it's all about therapy and rehabilitation, and not rehabilitation in a forceful way at all. There's no such thing. It really is truly about having very sensitive and wise counselors and guides that can help souls that feel a little lost, and maybe they forget who they are for a temporary time, and they are acting unconsciously towards others. So you have these guides and you have these souls that are going to help get these other souls to remember so that they can rejoin society and understand what they are doing. So there's a lot of new focus on rehabilitation and therapy rather than punishment. And this is going to help in the long run, because without punishment, you're not going to have rebellion. So there's really no need to have revolutions or rebellions. There's no unfair judgment going on. It is simply about seeing the best in each other and providing the therapy and the compassion that sometimes people of society need when they are acting unconsciously and are harming others. So this whole new shifting of priorities have already shifted the world and has made nature more vibrant and thriving on Earth. And humans have learned how to coexist naturally with their environment. And they are now focusing on new ways of having new energy and new food sources. No longer are they killing all these animals and having factorization, but there is new types of proteins being developed, new ways of gaining the the nutrition and the sustenance that humans need. It is said that the Pleiadians have actually created some kind of clones of kind of a rabbit-like creature, and they use it for its meat protein, but it's no longer an animal with its own soul because it's a clone. So technology may allow humanity to start doing that, where you're not taking the soul of another animal, you're actually being able to use an artificial type of protein that is man-made or man-created, rather than taking from a soul that, it's against its free will, because every soul wants to thrive and live. So there might have been a change in the way that the advanced species are starting to view eating meat. And I think that we're starting to see that. So that's what starts to happen within the human world in this vision, is that we find new ways of having new energy, and along with that, new types of sustenance for humans, so that everybody can eat, and that not corporations are in control. There's no GMOs, there's no Monsanto anymore. That's been dismantled. Anything that's for profit or greed has been dismantled, and now it is all about the thriving of the species and anything that is going to help evolve the minds of the souls that are on the planet. And in this shift of priority, then peace is reigning around the earth. And since people don't really truly have issues with one another, people are very respectful and are very gracious towards one another. So hardly any kind of arguments and fights break out, and if they do, people are very quick to realize what they have done. So it's very easy to get past physical fights, or at least disagreements. There's no need to really stoop to those levels of exerting your dominance or power over others. You simply can have an intelligent discussion and really listen to each other heart to heart, and have a conversation that is really going to open up the perspective of you and as well as the other person, and then that changes each other's mind, and at least there's a compromise that can be had. So that is the new form of way of dealing with arguments and disagreements, and that is something that will happen for a species that starts to evolve their consciousness and awareness of one another. And this is really just the start of my vision for humanity. Someone who relates to the elves, I can see very well that this is something that is available and a potential to humans if they truly want to have this type of world. And it is a world completely free. People are sovereigns over themselves. There's a wise council, but there's no presidency. There's no governments that are in charge. Everybody is responsible for their own soul. They are responsible for what they do, and they're not looking for handouts from the government. They really kind of come into their own abilities and skills and create their own things with their hands, with their mind, and then they're able to sell it, or to exchange it for something else from another who also creates with their hands and with their mind. So there's no economy competition going on. So there's none of that going on anymore, which is really nice. And it allows for a true equality to be had. There's no caste systems anymore. There's no poor people and middle class and rich class. It's not about that. It comes into the whole point basically is to be responsible for yourself. So now that there's no caste system that kind of captures people into certain categories in life, now everything is available to a person. So a person is not born into a certain class any longer. Everybody is kind of all equal, and it really becomes about what you create and what you are able to do and to make that really determines your worth and your value, in the sense that if you create things that people like and products that people like, and people feel that there's a need for them, then that is how you become rich in a sense. So there is no more classes, and there are no more poor people. The only poor people are those that stop working and they do not create things with their mind and with their hands, and they decide to live in the forests and just kind of scavenge off the land. But that is a choice of that particular soul, but they're not born into a system that already traps them there. It is about there's no debt, there's no usury anymore, so there's no debt that keeps people down. So it really is about just people taking full responsibility for their own lives and creating something based on their abilities and their skills that they awaken to and they realize that they have, that other people do not, because everybody is unique and has a certain ability and specialty, and you might have many different specialties and skills. And so people are able to hone into that and to be able to use that and then trade it for other people's skills and goods and services that they're able to create. So that's a little bit about how I see the future and what I feel about with, how the Elven community would live with each other, and what humanity can turn into if they really truly want to. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you on the next video. Namaste.